Hello everyone and welcome to today's session. So today's session is quite interesting. Actually, we are going to create a new application from scratch, right? And this is totally new application. We will build this application on Appian and we will like design database structure in mariadb, like which is already Appian is already having the database, right? So we will work on that database and we will work on this application, the librarians, like version 2.0. So the name is quite interesting actually. We will include a lot, right? We will include a lot with different functions, and we will create a site which will be having these functions, right? So I have pinpoint all the details regarding this application and also regarding this database which we are going to be built, right? So let's get into the details, and you can see the name is the librarian, and what we need to do, basically we need to build a site for this application, right? So basically this is a library management system, right? And this is called the librarian. The name is quite interesting. Again, I'm saying this, but yeah, we will be performing various things here, and we will work on UI, we will work on the database, we will work on the functionality part, right? And these tabs will be there, right? So let's discuss about these tabs and other things in details. And inside that site we will be having few tabs, and appian site is basically there is a limitation of 5 tabs, right? So we will be building 5 tabs here, and let's understand first what site we will be building and what are the options there inside that site. So first tab is that inside that particular site can be used to assign or give a book to a particular user. Here the user is the student, right? Student of a university or a school, right? So this is the first tab where an interface will be there, and on that interface the librarian will fill all the details required to assign that particular book to a student, right? And the records are already there of the student as well as the books inside the database. So we will be building first tab regarding this assignment, and second tab is used for book returning process, right? So I have described this second tab as a book return process where the student or anyone who got the book, right, he will return back that particular book to the library, right? And then the librarian will again open this form in this particular site and fill all the details of that particular book, and that book will follow a particular return process, and then it is released for that, like, from that particular user. Okay, so the third tab is basically we will be having all the details of all the books inside the library, right? And we can see the status of that book. This, like, the availability is there for that particular book, the availability is not for the particular book, right? So this is what we are having for the third tab. And for the fourth tab we are like, we will be showing a particular list where all the students name are there, and like below that particular student or inside the details of that student we can see which book is assigned to which student and how many books are assigned to a particular student. And these type of details we can take a look and we can modify accordingly, right? And these are not fixed, whatever I have written here, right? These are not the fixed functionality, but we will modify it according to our requirement, or some extra features we wanted to add into this, we can do that also. And the last tab, which is the fifth tab, we will use this particular fifth tab for reporting, where the pie charts, the graphs, and everything will be there. And we will add all the details related to the books, students, and also we will be having if there is any fine for any particular student, like these kind of charts and pie charts and graphs. We will add that particular inside this fifth tab, right? So this is all for reporting purpose, this fifth tab. And this is about the application which we are going to build. And apart from this, let's see like what are the database details which we will build first, right? Because whenever we are creating an application, right, database structure is so important, and before starting we need to figure out what are the things we are going to do and how many tables or how many basic or main tables are there which we are going to build, right? So we are having this TL book request which will be our main table for assignment, right? And this TL request book return book request, this is for returning book, right? and these three tables, basically these are the matrix data table, and this holds basically TL student records hold all the student details, and TL book records holds all the book details, and TL find details include all the find which is there, like the find, like for example number of days for this number of days, this much of fine is there. So these kind of detail we will be having inside this TL find details, right? And the last is basically TL book report is a view, not a table, and we will use this view for our fifth tab or reporting tab, and we will be using few joins here to merge all the details related to the books and students, and we will be showing that details inside the interface or report, right? So this is what we are going to build. So whatever functionality we have just discussed, right, we all need to work on this functionality. You guys can also start working on the application, and please do comment if you got any issues, right? So we all have free community editions account also, right? So we can perform everything on that account. So we just need to get started, right? So let's go. Right now I'm in my appian designer, and inside my appian designer I will start whatever we have discussed right now, right? So let's get started, and I'll use this option new application. So before getting started for this application building, if you have not watched my previous sessions regarding the appian objects, right, because that series includes everything which is required to start an designer journey, right? You can find out the link of the series in the description box. So what I will do here, I will directly jump into the main functionality, and we will build this application from scratch itself, and as quickly as possible with the most optimized way, right? So let's get started, and this is my option which I've selected, create new applications. So let's give the name of this particular application, and the name is the Librarians version 2.0. Okay, so the prefix here is automatically selected, so let's remove this V. I only want TL here, and description. Right, and I have checked this option, generate groups and folders to secure and organize objects, so the folders will be automatically created for this application, right? So I'm just directly creating this, and my whole new bunch of objects, this application is created. You can see the security is already there, TL admin and users, and I'm just directly saving it, right? So this is appian version 22.2 which I'm working right now, and this the UI is quite different here, right? You can see this discovery or explore option is coming right now. Previously it was not there, but right now if we have some objects it will look better in this explore. And we inside this build we will add all the objects, or we will create all the objects, and this is deployment, and this is monitoring, right? So this designer part is still same. So what we can do now, we can directly jump into the interface first, and we will work accordingly. So right now I'm creating a form or interface for assignment, right, for the book assignment. So I will write this TL main book request, right? When a person is requesting for a book, so the name is related to this kind of activity only. I'm creating this from scratch. Description for a new book request, and the folder is not there for interface, so what I will do, I will create a new root folder here, TL interfaces, and parent folder I'll select none, or let's do one thing, the application prefix is TL, so I'll create inside this one only. So this interface is created, and while interface is loading up, what we can do, we can start building our main table, right? And we know what are the options should be there, so I will directly jump into this database and then operations, and let's create a table directly from by using this mariadb provided option, and the name will be TL main let's use 10 columns for now, and we will modify accordingly. So I'm quickly doing this. So these are the basic columns which I have configured, right? So let's configure the type for this one. This is integer, this is fine. This is also integer, fine. Integer, and this is date. So I'm selecting this particular date from, and this to created by is, let's select varchar, and same for this one. Okay, so we have configured this, and let's configure the primary key, right? That is very important in mandatory part. So this is my primary key, index is primary, and go auto increment it, right? And also we need to specify like if the column can be null or not, right? The value can be null or not. So I don't want to make these value null. These three I can make null values, and other than these three all are mandatory, right? So let's hit go button. The configuration looks fine right now, and this is our table, right? This is ready. Let's get back into the interface and let's use this sample form, and let's drag and drop these options. So we have the requester name, which is the student name, and date from. So let's use this column, because when we are using column, right, the UI looks better. So I can drag and drop these dates here, and the name of the person, date, from date to date, and let's select one more text field for the department of that particular student, or in the standard for that particular student, right? So let's get into the expression mode. Book request form, and let's make this caps. This is the request name, from date to date. Parallelly we can get into the UI and we can see how it is looking. So from date to date, and this is the department. We can remove this useless section. Let's comment out this one. For directly comment the part, we can directly select the section and we can hit the control and backslash. So, and if I again wanted to uncomment this, I can again use control backslash. So this is how we can do things in appian expression mode inside the interface. And this is our basic form ready, and we have the save button, cancel button, right? Let's see if there is any rule input. So we have one rule input, right? That is cancel, but we need to create a CDD for our main table, right? So let's do one thing. Let's create a CDD for our table, and before creating a CDD, let's do one more thing. Let's create the book and student table. So let's go inside this operation, or let's click on this table first and then go inside this operation and again create a table TL student record. So let's quickly give the name. Let's see the column ID there inside the other table. So if I search TL, I can see this main table, and we have the student ID here. Let's copy this same for the primary key, and then right, and let's quickly give the type. So let's check once if this is fine or not. This is fine. Varchar integer. This is pending, and other is fine, right? So let's quickly give the primary key, and this is my primary key, so I'll select this option and auto increment it also, right? Go auto increment it, and we cannot make this null. This is already auto incremented. Student name can be null. These all the details can be null, not the created by and created on, and these can be null. These are not the mandatory part. These can be null, not these two, and this can be null. So we have configured our student table, and this is fine. Let's hit the go button. Okay, this is for add column, so let's remove this one. So let's click on save. Okay, so this is our student table, and let's do one thing. Let's add one entry. And created on, I can select the current timestamp, which is now, I guess, let's see if I have that function or not. Okay, I have now this one. I can select this. So created by and created on is already selected, is active as 1. My value is inserted, so everything is fine. Let's quickly create books table also. So let's quickly give the configuration. This is tiny integer. So my book table is also created, right? So if I search and now, then I have 3 tables: books record, and the main book request, and the study record. So let's get into the appian, and let's save this interface, whatever we have created right now, and let's get into this. Let's refresh this, and let's create CDT1 now. So we are using this option, create from database table or view, and my source is this, table is TL. Right now I'm selecting this main request, so continue. This is TL, this is fine, this is also fine, and description I can give it later on. So let's do one thing before creating this data type. Let's get back into our main table, and let's understand this first. So we have this request ID, which is the primary key for this particular table, but we have book ID as well as the student ID, right? Means whenever we are assigning any particular book to a person, right, we will be selecting this as a foreign key. Right? Means book ID will come from the particular table, which is TL book record, and student ID will come from the particular table, which is TL student record, right? So these will act as a foreign key. So what I will do, I will go inside this relation view, and I will select this column, which is student ID, and the table which it will be coming from is TL student record, and this is automatically selected. And one more I need to add, which is the book ID, and then this is appian, this one, and okay, so let's select nothing here, and let's click save, and we need to add another one for this one. So book ID, So the table is different now, which is TL book record, and then it is automatically selected. So again save. So if I go in my structure again, then I will see the book ID and the student ID is both of them are coming from the different tables, which is what we have created just now. So now I can create this CDT, and let's go back again, and if I go continue now, then these are coming, this foreign key are coming, and as well as the primary key, which is auto generated, right? So let's create the CDT quickly, and I'm making the column name both of the places same. This is the best practices we can follow. And data store is not there, so let's create a data store also. TL data store, and create. Description is also very important, but right now we are not giving because we are not having that much of time, but we can give the description later on. So this is the data store I've created, and this will be the entity name. Great. So my data store and CDT is created right now. Let's publish the data store. And this is my entity which is automatically created. Let's try to verify this. This is fine. Let's save and publish. And quickly we are creating the other CDT. Same process. And this option is already selected to create the entity name, and I'm clicking on this create, and let's refresh our data store and let's see if there is any entity. So the entity is coming right now. We can verify and again save and publish, and let's create the last one quickly. This is done, and let's create this one also. Let's refresh our data store. All the three entities are there, right? Let's verify and save and publish this, and this is done. So these are our CDT, and we are in my interface again, and let's create a rule input now. So my rule input will be book request, and the type will be now TL book request. This one. Create, and let's save this first. So right now our basic form is complete, but let's do one thing because we have already created a table for a student and other tables also. So let's create an expression rule which can be used to fetch that particular name of student, right? Because whenever we are finding or searching that assignee, right, for that particular form, we need to find that particular student name, right? For that, so I'll create an expression rule, and this will be fetch student and description, and for expression rule I'm having a folder which is TL rules and constant. So let's select inside this one, and I'm creating this. So right now I'm not having any constant for my data store entity, so I'll create one constant for that also. TLDS student details. Right, so we have the table name student record, right? So let's use that only. Student So I'm using caps everywhere, and the type will be database data store entity, and data store is TL, and entity is student record, right? So right now I'm not having any different folder for constant, so let's use the same one. It's fine, and create it. And this is my constant, so I can use this constant whenever I was doing this query editor, and I can come into this data store entity, and then I can select my constant TL. Right now I'm having only one entry, that's why preview is also showing only one particular record, right? So after continue this one, I have few options, but I don't need right now, so I will just directly click on generate query. Okay, now the query entity is ready, and if I test the rule, then I'll get all the details related to that particular data store entity. I'll save this, and this will give me all the details of all the students, right? So I can put the batch index to -1, so it will return me all the records, and I can also fetch the total count. I can make this true, and let's save this and test. Right, total count is there, and inside the data we have the particular data. I can collapse this one, and inside this interface I can create a local variable where I can fetch the particular details of that particular student. So I will use a local variable, and let's see the value of this local variable is student data. And right now I'm having only one single entry, that's why a single data is coming, and this is fine. Let's see then what we can use for that particular assignee. Right now I have like selected this particular text field, which is the requester name, and I can write any, but I wanted to use something different. So let's see if this picker custom field will work or not. So this video is already too long, so what we can do, we can discuss further functions and operation in next video, right? So till then, goodbye, and do practice a lot. And if you have any queries, please do contact me. You have my contact number as well as the email ID. Please comment, share, and like this video, and you will get the next video very soon. So just wait and practice. Thanks a lot.